Hey, have you ever thought about having a podcast of your very own? If so, great news. Spotify has a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere and even earn money. It's all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. So, Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. So, no matter what your setup is like, you can get started creating as soon as today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify, and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify, so that's pretty cool. And with Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free with no catch. Ever since I discovered Spotify for Podcasters, I really just feel like it's taken my podcasting to a whole nother level. So I highly recommend you give it a try if a podcast is something that you've been thinking about as well. Just download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. Hey there, I'm Julie, and this is the Married to Addiction podcast. If you're here, then you're probably what I call my secret sister. We're in a situation we never asked to be in and fighting a battle we never wanted to fight. We're faith-filled women who are married to an alcoholic, and it affects every inch of our lives. If that sounds like you, then this is a safe place for you to land. Married to Addiction is a faith-based podcast where I help you find the tools and strength you need to navigate your husband's addiction without losing yourself in the process. So please subscribe and tune in as often as you can, because your husband's recovery is important, but so is yours. You guys, did you hear my announcement last week about the promotion that I'm doing right now for joining the Secret Sister Circle? I wanted to make sure that I talked about it today because you only have one more week to get in on this. I haven't done this in 5 months. I probably won't for quite some time. Maybe never again. I'm not real sure yet. But what I'm doing right now is if you join the Secret Sister Circle in the month of September and you remain a member for at least 2 months, you also get my 30-day online program absolutely free at the end of your second month. So if you have ever considered joining the Secret Sister Circle, now is the time, and you only have a few more days. So please, right now, while you're thinking about it, if this is speaking to you, go to my website, marriedtoaddiction.com, and look for the drop down that says Get Help, and you will see the information for the Secret Sister Circle. Hop in right now and get that program absolutely free. I can't wait to welcome you in. Hello, and welcome to episode 57 of the Married to Addiction podcast. Today's episode is called How to Stop the Madness. And if you are like me, when my husband was deep in addiction, your life is madness right now. And who doesn't want to know how to fix that? We're going to talk about that today. So this life that we're in as the wife of an alcoholic feels so chaotic. Our minds are constantly swirling with just confusion and fear and frustration. You literally feel like you're going crazy sometimes. At least I know that I did. We end up worrying ourselves sick. Really, worrying ourselves sick. It's madness. Our life feels completely out of control. We feel like we are hanging by a thread. So how can we stop the madness? How? Let's talk about what the madness looks like first. In my case, it looked like searching for bottles, pouring out bottles when I found them, going looking for my husband when I wasn't sure where he was, worrying myself into hives, which I'm sure you've heard me talk about before, massive stress-induced hives for months on end, IBS, which I'll leave that one at that. Bad problems with that. Heart palpitations. Like literally, my physical health was in jeopardy. I would try to call him and not be able to get a hold of him. And I would start flipping out almost immediately. Like, okay, well, where is he? Is he driving? Is he drinking? What's going on? I would leave work when I couldn't get a hold of him. Oh my gosh, I left work so many times and made up just some crazy excuse about how I had to leave. They didn't know what was going on, of course. I wasn't willing to divulge that information. But I would leave work on a regular basis when I couldn't get a hold of my husband because I was so like freaked out and almost having a panic attack. I wouldn't be able to sleep because I had this giant pit in my stomach all the time, just this pit of just fear and just anxiety. I mean, I couldn't sleep, or I'd cry myself to sleep. I was always just on heightened alert, like screaming, crying, threatening, confronting him. Like when I wasn't confronting him and screaming at him, I was screaming inside. I was screaming at God sometimes. It was madness. That is what the madness looked like in my life. But did you notice anything about that list of things that I just gave you? All of that madness was my reactions to my husband's drinking. Now, was my husband doing things because he was drinking that were also madness? Of course, absolutely. But ultimately, and I need you to hear this, it was my reactions to those things he was doing that was driving me mad, because there was no peace to be found. There was no rest to be found. There was no stability to be found. Those things were still available to me, but I couldn't tap into any of them because I was too busy spinning out of control with all of my reactions and responses all the time, 24/7. Sometimes I'll see wives of alcoholics asking about things like putting tracking devices on their husbands' phones or their cars, or just any number of things that I've seen, because they're trying to become like the best detective they can be, or the best investigator they can be, or, how can I catch him? How can I get him? How can I, have that aha moment? How can I have that I told you so? What can I do? How can I get him? How can I figure out what he's doing? But why? Why do you need to know those things? What does that accomplish? Now, of course, there are some things that we need to know if our husband is or is not doing as it relates to, safety. For example, is he driving our kids around inebriated? Okay, that's something that you need to know clearly. But a lot of these other things, these daily activities, his drinking behaviors, things like that, what does knowing all of those details accomplish? Has your husband ever stopped drinking because you're doing those types of things? Or have you just stopped living because you're doing those things? Who am I talking to right now? Raise your hand if it's you. This is not how you were meant to live. Christ did not die for you so that you could live the miserable existence that you are probably experiencing right now. So how do you stop the madness? You get help. You get help. You change the things that you can change. You start pursuing that peace, that rest, that stability that you can have right now with everything in you. And once you do that, your life will change as well. I want to read something to you real quick. This is something that one of my dear Secret Sister Circle members posted recently. I love her. I'm so proud of her. She's been in the membership for a few months now. And, I call it the Secret Sister Circle because we are really all secret sisters, because we all have this, secret battle that we're fighting. But we're also sisters in that membership because we're a family. We are. We pray for each other. We encourage each other. We support each other. We love each other. I just love it in there so much. But I wanted to read you something that she wrote because this was really impactful for me to read, and I think it will probably be impactful for you to hear. She said, as I sit here on a Sunday night reflecting on the past week and what this new week may entail, I'm acutely aware of just how important this work is. All of our stories are similar with differences woven throughout, but one thing we can all agree on is that we just want to live a life deeply infused with peace and richness in spite of our husband's addictions. That is certainly easier said than done. I continue to battle frustration, anger, and disappointment at times throughout my week, but I truly find that when I call upon Jesus, open up my tools, do the work, and breathe and deep breathe, I can stay in my lane so much more than effectively. Tonight, I was tempted to busy myself with things that would distract me so I didn't have to be at home in a home by myself while my husband is out drinking. But instead, I chose to fill my afternoon with things that make me feel like I'm living a rich life. I chose to go to my niece's soccer game, spend time with my family, and then I went on a walk with my neighbor. I then came home and sought out peace through prayer and journaling instead of finding something else to do that would distract me. I listened to a podcast, I listened to a lesson, and I worked on a pitfall worksheet from way back in stage 1. That's one of the worksheets that's in the program, in the membership. And I gained clarity on an area of control that I may still struggle with. This journey is certainly not for the faint of heart, but I also believe that I can live a rich, full life in spite of what my husband chooses. That just gives me chills. And I wrote to her after she shared that. And I said, can I please share that with others? Because everything that she just said is what I wanted to help women with. That was the vision that the Lord gave me. And I remember there were a few different phrases that he gave me when he was trying to convince me to do this. And I'm sure you have heard me say before, I will tell you, in full transparency, I did not want to do this for a while. It was scary and it was big and I wasn't sure that I was the person to do it, but this is where he wanted me and here I am. But there were a few different things that he spoke to me over and over. And one of those things was go find them in their darkness and bring them to me. I haven't cried on here in a minute, but to just be able to hear that that's what's happening, that these women are now seeing that they can have the peace of the Lord, have a rich life, have that relationship with him, even though they've probably dealt with a lot of anger towards God. I did. I know you probably are or have or will. You can still have your life back. You can. So what are you waiting for? Doing things the way that you're doing is probably bringing you nothing but misery, and it's more than likely not changing anything on your husband's side. Your life is waiting for you. The rest of your family, your kids, your sister, brother, mom, dad, your friends, they're probably waiting for you. Because if you're like me, you are a shell of yourself right now, and you have not been fully available to any of those people for a while now. You know who else is waiting for you? The Lord is waiting for you. He wants a relationship with you right now. And I know you need that. So please stop the madness in your life by doing what you can do, by changing what you can change, by getting help. And yes, my membership is available, but you don't have to do it through me, of course. Find a way to get help. Go to a meeting, find a counselor, whatever it looks like for you. Of course, I would love for you to join the Secret Sister Circle, but I need you to get the help that you need so that you can get your life back. I need you to pursue that relationship with the Lord. I need you to pursue that peace, that rest, even joy. You can experience joy. You can. This isn't a fallacy. Open your Bible. You've heard me say before, there is not one single verse in the Bible that says you can have joy, peace, rest, anything, ... unless you are the wife of an alcoholic. You can have a different life despite what your husband is doing. I hope that's been helpful for you. I pray for all of you. Please know that. And I love you all. As always, thank you so much for listening. I will see you next time. Quick question for you before I let you go today. Have you been to the Married to Addiction website? If you haven't, I would love if you would go pay it a visit. It's just marriedtoaddiction.com. And over there, you can see just a lot of different information about my podcast. There is a blog on there. There's some free resources for you. And there's also a few ways that you can actually get some help if you need a little more help and direction and support as you travel this difficult path with your addicted husband. So if you haven't yet, please go visit marriedtoaddiction.com. Thanks so much.